This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
1, 2, 3. Lovely.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Maastricht edition live on Facebook. Tonight we will be joined by Pia from We Care Maastricht, and we'll be talking all about their activities. We also have maybe a live call from the Eurovision Ahoy Stadium, and we will have our usual fun and games of this day in history, Matt Goes Dutch, and Tracy's Tidbits. So make sure you stay tuned.
Yay! Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Maastricht edition. Here we are again.
Hello.
Oh, there's all sorts been going on here, I can tell you. I'm going to give you a quick update. The kitchen got fitted today.
Oh, exciting.
So for those of you who've been following my renovation, yes, the kitchen got fitted today. Very excited. But the highlight of the week, let me tell you about the highlight of my week. I like a bit of online shopping, I do, but I've always kind of stayed clear of shoes. And I found out this week why I steer clear of shoes. I ordered two pairs of shoes. One pair turned up 4 sizes too small, so I had to send it back. And then when the right size did arrive, they didn't fit me anyway, so they've got to go back as well. So there you go.
Lord, okay. So the shoes got the boot.
I have a shoe-related story this week.
Do you?
I do. Well, it wasn't my shoe. It was Jacob's shoe, because we went for a walk because there's nothing else to do. And Jacob's had these shoes, walking boots, a long time. And about, I don't know, half an hour into the walk, when we're in the middle of nowhere, the front of the shoe just falls off.
No.
Like the sole of it just fell off. We're like,
Oh.
What do we do now?
Yeah, what did you do?
What
So
did
we
you
walked
do?
a bit further and randomly found, I think it was a field of I'm not sure, some sort of fruit, like there were vines, little vines. I'm not sure what it was. I think it might have been like a strawberry or something. No, strawberries are not vines. Some sort of fruit vine. And there was string just all over the floor. We were like, wow. So then we had to tie up Jacob's shoe with the sole so that it would stay on. And then, I don't know, every 20 minutes or something when we were doing the walk, had to redo the tie. But we made it through our...
Fantastic. Well, Tracy, if we're ever stranded on a desert island, Matt and Jacob are the people we need with us, obviously.
Well, with all respect to Matt and Jacob, I think I'd take Bear Grylls, actually. He might be slightly better, yeah.
I wouldn't even go as far as a desert island, to be honest with you.
You have a liking for Mr. Grills.
Speaking of gorgeous men, Adam's in the house. Hello, Adam. Good evening. Nice to have you with us. So this evening, yes, we're going to be talking to Pia from We Care. She's going to be joining us. This is a student organisation who's going to be giving us some information about the support and advice that they give people who are maybe victims of sexual assault in the city of Maastricht. So we'll be speaking with her later on in the programme. Before that, though, yes, we've got all our other segments going on, but you may remember last week, our man on the ground in the Ahoy, our Eurovision guru, Denis, he's actually waiting in the wings. We're going to get him back on again because he is obviously there at the moment. We've got the second semi-finals this evening, and he's going to pop in just for 5 minutes to give us an update on what's been going on over in Rotterdam, because today in particular, there has been an awful lot of news coming through because there's some changes that are happening with the show at the weekend. Also, they've had a very special visitor there at the Ahoy. So hopefully Denis is going to be joining us. We can hear you.
Indeed.
Are you there, Denis?
I can hear him. Denis, this is Maastricht calling.
Oh, you just love it, don't you?
I always wanted to say that. I love it.
Hello, Denis. Can you just do a quick favour and go to landscape for us? There we go.
Oh, looking fabulous, darling. Looking fab.
Oh,
yes, very dapper. So, give us some updates because there's been so much going on today.
there has been so much going on. Well, first there was Duncan Lawrence. He was tested and he is tested COVID positive. So he's not going to be featured in the semi-final 2 tonight and in the grand final. And he will not be awarding the 12 points during Saturday night's show. It will be done by actress and singer Romy Montero.
Lovely.
Which is really sad for Duncan, really,
It
but
is.
I think they found a great substitute for Duncan. She's also very nice, but yeah, he has been waiting for
She
this moment.
she wasn't busy then.
No, she was not as A-list as she thought she was.
Excellent. But I believe there's somebody else who's going to be missing the show on Saturday.
As well, yeah, like somebody in the group of Iceland, he also tested positive for COVID. Somebody's birthday apparently here in the press center, so that is what.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
So because they've tested positive, that means the whole group can't play on Saturday.
Well, normally they could have, but they said like we're with 6 people, and we're a band, so if so it was out of solidarity with the person that has COVID. Yeah.
Oh, that's quite a big thing, really, because considering they couldn't perform last year, and they were the favourites last year, and then this year coming into it, they were, I think, probably the top 5 favourites, weren't they?
Yeah.
For them to turn around and say, do you know what? All for one and one for all. That's quite a big thing.
So it was out of solidarity because they could have performed with 5 members, but then they said like, no, we're a team. So yeah.
I'd like to think that the Maastricht would be exactly the same when it comes to working as a team.
Yeah.
Of course we would be, darling.
Of course we would. Now, you had also a very special visitor this afternoon.
Oh yeah, Queen Maxima was here. Queen Maxima of the Netherlands. I saw her from afar. Actually, we couldn't like take pictures. One of my dreams has always been to meet her and to shake hands, which is not possible because of COVID, of course. And then we couldn't even take pictures. So yeah, well, I saw her from afar.
Nice.
Did you not have the urge to jump on a chair and just scream out, Maxima, I love you?
Well, I met her outside, and there was a lot of police there, so didn't want to disturb anyone. Yeah. I was holding back, of course. I was holding back.
So tonight we have another semi-final.
Yes. And it will be an exciting one. At first, most people said that like semi-final 1 would be like the tough semi-final to be in, but turns out after seeing all the rehearsals that it is quite the opposite. Well, it's not the opposite, but I think it's as strong as the first semi-final.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. I shall be watching later. I watched the first semi-final. I'm not going to mention anything about Ireland. We'll just move on. But I'm looking forward. I enjoyed the performances very much, and some of them were indeed better than I had anticipated, which was cool. And I suspect this evening will be equally as surprising. And of course, tonight, Denis, we also have the little postcard from Albania, which is featuring Maastricht. Yay!
Yes, because I talked to a lot of people, and they were all like, well, the Maastricht and Rotterdam were up to host the event this year or last year. And then Maastricht wasn't even there. It was featured also in the intro tonight. So you will see the bridges of Maastricht, and you will see the Vrijthof. And then the postcard of Albania will feature the pedestrian bridge from Riek to the other side of the city, and some other sites in Maastricht. So, and that will be before the Song of Albania.
Excellent.
Nice.
And how are they ranking at the moment?
Let's just say that she might not make it into the final.
So if we want to see this postcard, we should tune in tonight, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know coverage
watch the
starts at 9
postcard.
p.m. Yes.
And how are
Yes.
our friends, the Italians?
Sorry,
How are our friends, the Italians?
I see those people everywhere. They even, at some point, like the girl of the band, she told me like, "Are you stalking us?" I was like, "No."
Oh,
I was like, "No," and then carefully putting the axe back in my pocket. Like,
yeah.
Nothing going on.
like
What goes on in Rotterdam stays in Rotterdam.
Yes. Hopefully.
Well, it sounds like you're still having lots of fun. What is it you're looking forward to tonight, Denis?
Of course, Iceland. They will compete with a pre-recorded version of their song, so they will be showing it here on the LED screen. And then Greece, because their performance, well, you cannot see it here in the venue because it's all green screen, but at home, she's like walking through like a virtual world, and she can sing very well. There's somebody from there's a Greek journalist sitting towards me, and he's of course about
Kalispera.
So got excited for that one as well. And then there's Portugal. It's a very laid back song. It's so different from what the rest is doing here. And I think because of it, it's like the one to watch. It feels like it's like an outsider. But maybe because of that, it might actually win on Saturday. But that will be in the final, I think, is a sure thing also, Portugal and Greece.
We've got lots to look forward to this weekend. Have a fabulous time this evening. It's so sad that you're going to be coming to an end to this journey for you on Sunday. And you'll just have to come back to Maastricht and be normal again. But you've made a lot of memories there and a lot of new friends, I'm sure. And we're looking forward to Saturday. We shall keep our eyes peeled to see if we can see you waving your flag. There's one thing left to do, and that's say good luck to everybody this Saturday.
Yes.
Whoever ends up in the final. Thank you so much for joining us the last 2 weeks today. It's been absolutely brilliant you taking some time out, and we'll catch up again with you soon.
Okay, great. And catch me tonight. I will be doing a Facebook Live, and I will be on Twitter during semi-final too.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
We'll see you then. Thanks ever so much today.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Oh, what I am not jealous at all.
Next year, Tracy, it can be you.
Next year, I would
Start
love
your own website now. And
I tell you, you know, and it would be great if, I mean, depending who wins, you could go to Portugal or Italy, you know, you could be very nice. Greece. Oh, it's very up. I'm so looking forward to Saturday night.
It's so nice if we could have all gone together, I think, actually.
But we can make it. We have a year to plan this, guys. You know, you never know.
I mean, that's some team outing, I can tell you.
I tell you, if any generous benefactor out there wants to sponsor us, you know, we're TME, the Maastricht edition, and we just missed the letter A, and team is in our name.
Oh, that's true.
There you go.
I blow your mind, don't I?
You do. You do. Now, speaking of fantastic music, as we have just been, I think it's time for Matt's review.
Yes.
Yes.
And this week, the review is of an album that I chose for Matt this coming week. And I've gone back to the 1970s. I've gone a little bit old school. I've gone with a Beatle. I've gone with Paul McCartney, who formed Wings not long after splitting up with the Beatles. And I've picked what I would consider to be a classic album, and that is Band on the Run. As I said to Matt last week, there's going to be a few songs on there that you recognise for sure. And the album cover itself is quite iconic, but I was pretty convinced that Matt wouldn't know anybody on the front of that cover, even though there was loads of very famous people at the time. But Matt, where were you to start with when you were listening to this album?
I was doing my usual. I was
You
studying.
were cooking in the kitchen.
He was
okay.
cooking.
And I'm not going to. Oh, we've just had a message from Adam. I'm not going to tell you what he expects the score to be, but let's find out what. Let's find out what Matt has to say. What did you think of the album, Matt?
I thought it was good. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Oh.
I don't know. I thought it to be more Beatley. It was a bit less Beatley than that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was good. I mean, I don't dislike the Beatles, but I mean,
there's a sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
They have a certain sound, indeed.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
And this is not that sound.
It wasn't what I was expecting. No.
Okay.
This
is a good thing or not?
Sorry.
Is this a good thing or not? I mean, did it shake things up a little bit for you?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's nice to listen to something a bit different.
Okay.
Because were the Beatles not a thing by this period?
No, they were well and truly dead.
Well, they weren't all dead. I mean, they were.
No, the band was dead. I mean, not they weren't dead. No, Lennon was the first one to go, and he had about another 6 years, I think it was, or 7 years before he left us. But yes, so the Beatles were no more. They were an ex-band. They had left the building. They were not breathing as a band anymore. So this was him forming a new band. But the musicians that he had with him on Wings were like a super group. There were lots of really good musicians that he'd got from other bands. So.
And they were in the picture.
Well, yes, but there was also lots of very famous celebrities of that time as well. Sports people, film stars, and TV celebs, that kind of thing. So. Yeah, but I knew you wouldn't recognise those people. No, okay. But is it? Did you enjoy the music then? Is it something you would listen to again, or would you maybe look at Paul McCartney in a different way?
I think I've definitely got to listen to it again because I don't know. I don't feel I fully appreciated it the first time.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time Matthew's had this remark.
That's true.
Curious, yes.
I decided I'd look up the background of this one because I thought, I don't know, maybe that'll be more interesting. And it turns out they recorded a lot of it in Lagos, in Nigeria. And it wasn't a great trip either because Paul and Linda got mugged at knife point.
Oh my God.
And they stole the book of lyrics and song stuff. They'd handwritten, of course, before computers.
Yeah.
So that wasn't great. And also, Paul McCartney got a bronchial, how do you say that? Bronchial spasm, which left him unconscious.
Well, you don't want one of them.
No.
I tell you, pass,
Especially when you're abroad. It's not a good point.
Yes.
But still, the album's considered really one of his best creations. So despite all these problems, it all turned out very nicely for him. And this is the classic album. But I'll be honest, I didn't really recognize many songs.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, A Band on the Run, the title track, and Jet on there, I would say are probably the most famous ones on there. And there's a couple of others on there. But I actually, funnily enough, this week I was watching an interview on TV with Noel Gallagher, and he rates this album as one of the best albums ever.
Wow.
And the very last track on this album, he said, I don't understand. He said, I was listening to the album a while ago, and for some reason, I had maybe not listened to this last track. I'd kind of gone past it or finished listening to the album and not realised this last track. I was talking to somebody about it, and they were like, it was like, this is an amazing track. Yeah. The last track on the album is absolutely brilliant, and it is one of my favourites. It is a fantastic track. So yes, dive back into it again, listen to it again. I think it's a brilliant album. How many Mats out of 10?
Well, I have to think about it. And I just read Adam's comment that I'm going with my own decision.
Stick to your guns, Matthew.
That's 2 tens on the trot for me.
It's very time, look.
Ooh! Fantastic. Wow. Oh, that's brilliant. Yes, Adam said this had better score a 10. And he also says he's got a signed copy of this particular album from the great man himself. So that's a treasure possession for sure. So, that's brilliant. I'm really, really pleased. So, yes, listen to it again. Get into it. Dive into it. Love it. It's a great album. It really, really is. So, Tracy, it's your turn to pick a great album.
Oh, well, I'm not sure this is going to be a 10 from Matthew, but I had to do this for this week, for the weekend that's in it. I trawled through my vinyl collection. Yes, it's a vinyl album, but it's available on CD, of course. I've also chosen an album from the 70s. This one was released in 1976. And Joe mentioned earlier that the Band on the Run album was quite an iconic cover. I venture to add the album I'm about to reveal is equally iconic. Matthew, for your review next week, I have chosen for you ABBA's
ABBA! Oh my goodness, and it's a greatest hits.
This is the greatest hits. This is the bench album cover, as you can see.
Yeah, this is the original greatest hits.
Oh, yes, there we go. See, which I bought at a flea market for €4 many years ago. So this has a couple, yes, indeed, it's a bit naughty to pick a greatest hits, but they are very good songs.
Yeah.
I have high hopes you'll recognize some. I mean, you've got, of course, Waterloo, the one that they won the Eurovision with, is on there. Ring Ring, So Long, one of my favorites. You know, a lot of little ones. Nina, Pretty Ballerina, the last song, a little bit of an upbeat number.
Well, I must say,
yes.
Tracy,
This is my choice for you.
It's a brilliant choice. And I think Matt's going to be grateful that you picked this version of the greatest hits and not the recent version of the greatest hits, which would probably take another 3 days to listen to because there's a lot.
They've had a lot of songs. I mean, this is a very 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, maybe 12, 14 songs. You'll be fine. And they're quite short. So I think you'll
that one's okay, because that was the first one. But the recent one, ABBA Gold, is it? I mean, that just goes on and on. There's a lot.
ABBA Gold, more ABBA Gold. I think it goes on and on. But Matthew, I thought class.
Excellent.
There we are.
Very good.
So that's for you, Matthew. And yes, I hope you'll enjoy it and maybe even recognize some of the songs.
Actually, what would be quite interesting, I think, if you're going to do this little bit of research into the albums, if this is going to be a thing, actually researching that picture, because that is quite telling about the relationship, the relationships that were going on within the group, on, off, divorce, all a bit wibble kind of stuff going. So you might want to look at that actually, because it's quite interesting. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Josie Hermans is in the house. Hello, Josie.
Hello.
Hope you are well. Lovely to have you with us.
Yes.
Well, it's getting to that time. I think you've joined us just at the right time, my love, because it's time to maybe have a bit of a relax, maybe to zen a little bit after all of the excitement of the 10.
Yes.
10.
Another 10. I can't say a 10 from Len, but a 10 from Matt.
2 10s on the trot. I'm just saying.
2 10s, yes.
2 10s on the trot. So yes, I need to calm down as well, actually. So it's time to zen, time to relax. Put your feet up, have a glass of wine, because it is time for This Day.
I totally wasn't prepared.
Well,
done this how many times?
just 10 maybe.
Yeah.
So this particular This Day in History, we've got a lot of patents going on, actually. It's and some flying stuff. There's definitely a theme here. It's Thursday the 20th of May, and on this day in 1310, shoes were made for the first time that included a right and a left. Because before they were just both the same.
Like
really? So
Can you imagine how uncomfortable that would have been?
How bad for your feet would that have been? And how strange. Have you ever put the wrong shoe on the wrong foot? It doesn't feel very good at all.
Yeah, don't talk to me about shoes this week.
I know. Moving on. Happy place, Joe. Happy place.
10. So it was quite a long time ago, but up until that time, no, they just had like blocks that were exactly the same. Very, very uncomfortable. In 1609, on this very day, Shakespeare's sonnets are first published in London, perhaps illicitly, they reckon, by publisher Thomas Thorpe. And now we have a patent here, 1830, on the 20th of May. D. Hyde patents the fountain pen. Now, Tracy, I know you like to have a nice pen to write with.
I do, and I actually love and have several fountain pens.
There you go.
I know.
Particular style of writing, though, I think.
It is, yes. It sometimes can be irritating because you can have the dreaded smudge, and that it just ruins the whole thing. And I've often, if I'm writing a letter to my mother or whatever, I often restart the entire page if there's a nasty smudge. It depends how smudged the smudge is. But I do find if you get a decent one with a good ink flow, that it's very smooth, and I find the handwriting looks particularly pretty with a fountain pen. A fountain pen.
And in 1873, Levi Strauss and Jacob Davis patented the first blue jeans with copper rivets.
Oh.
Ooh,
Did you watch the sewing bee last night?
Yes. There was a bit of denim going on in the sewing bee.
There was.
last night.
And there was a very interesting history segment about denim jeans by Levi Strauss. You can apparently the vintage ones, the original ones, can sell for up to $30,000, which is insane.
That is quite insane, really. Bloody hell. But you need to go kind of searching for them in, where
it's on a mine or something.
Yeah, I know. So you might lose your life trying to find it. But
I think actually, if you look to the back of my wardrobe, you'll probably find a pair of jeans that are about 30 years old. I can't fit into them anymore, but they're still there anyway. They might be worth a few bob. In 1892, we got another patent. George Sampson patents the clothes dryer. Now, I'm not quite sure what that clothes dryer looks like compared to the clothes dryers of today, but he patented it anyway, so well done, George. In 1927, on the 20th of May, at 7:40 a.m., Charles Lindbergh takes off from New York to cross the Atlantic for Paris aboard the Spirit of St. Louis, the first non-stop flight. And in 1930, on this very day, the University of California dedicates $1,500 to research on prevention and cure of athlete's foot.
That's an important issue.
Well, it's not something I personally suffer from, but I do appreciate that it could be, uncomfortable. I don't really know much about athlete's foot, to be honest with you. You probably need a huge comfortable shoe. So maybe the people before 1310 were very happy to have a good comfortable shoe after that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all tied in somehow. Back to the flying. On this day in 1932, Amelia Earhart leaves Newfoundland on her journey to become the first woman to fly solo and non-stop across the Atlantic. 1939, the first regular transatlantic airmail, Pan Am, New York to Marseille, France. And in 1967, the BBC bans the Beatles' A Day in the Life because of drug references. Now, I know. If there's one thing I know that's going to give you a #1 hit, it's the BBC banning your song, because the next thing you know, everybody buys it and it's #1.
It's golden.
Golden.
We should get the BBC to ban the Maastricht edition.
Oh, yes, there you go. In 1979, Elton John is the first Western pop star to tour the former USSR. And in 1992, American rapper Tongue Twister raps 597 syllables in under 60 seconds. Yeah. I wouldn't know where to start. 590 syllables. Yeah, that's no wonder he's called Tongue Twister. And finally, just keep it in with the Eurovision theme. On this day in 2006, it was the final of the 51st Eurovision Song Contest, and it was won by Finland, singing Hard Rock Hallelujah, and the band was
Lordy.
Good Lordy, it was Lordy.
So good. Good Lordy, it was great. Hard Rock Hallelujah.
Yeah, it was certainly different, that's for sure. Interesting makeup. Right, let's whiz through some birthdays here. On this very day, 1908, Jimmy Stewart, the American actor, was born, famous for Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and It's a Wonderful Life. 1944, Joe Cocker, the English rock vocalist, famous for With a Little Help from My Friends, was born in Sheffield, in England. In 1946, you may have heard of this young lady, Cher, the American singer, famous for I Got You, Babe, and If I Could Turn Back Time. It's her birthday today. And 1970, Louis Theroux, the English television broadcaster, who was actually born in Singapore. It's his birthday today. And finally, somebody that I'm not aware of, Doug the Pug. Apparently, he's an internet celebrity dog, was born on this day in 2011. He was born in Ohio.
Well, happy birthday, Doug, and I'll be Googling you on Instagram shortly.
Of course. Apparently, internet sensation. And a quick shout out to Megan Maven, who is 18 today, from Mum, Dad, and brother Harry.
Oh,
happy birthday. And happy birthday to anybody else who's celebrating a birthday today. And that was this day in history. Thank you all.
Like a little golf clap. I like it. Very nice. Very interesting, as always.
Thank you very much. A lot of patents. There seems to be certain days where patents, everybody's doing a patent.
Maybe
I'm sure most days are like that, but I don't know. They seem to come up on certain days.
Perhaps the patent office was only open on certain days.
Well, there's a thing. Maybe that's got something to do with it. I like it. I like it a lot. Right. We've got our guest Pia from We Care coming up very shortly, but before we get her onto the show, I think it's time for a bit of news.
I'm ready when you are, dear.
Tracy Taylor with the news.
Thank you, Joe, and good evening, everyone. It's May 20th, and you're watching the Maastricht edition on Facebook Live. First, a look at your weekend weather, and some more rain is expected to fall in South Limburg tonight, with heavy winds as we move into Friday. Saturday and Sunday will remain changeable, with a mix of rain, cloud, heavy wind, and the odd sunny spell. Temperatures will reach 15 degrees. Moving to your news bulletin for tonight. Dutch and Belgian police are on high alert and searching for a soldier from Belgium who threw coronavirus pandemic response. The 46-year-old male suspect resides in the border region of Belgium and the Netherlands, and reportedly has extreme right-wing leanings. The manhunt began on Tuesday after the soldier left his base dressed in a bulletproof vest and armed with a rocket launcher, machine gun and other weapons. Due to the large-scale manhunt, the A76 at the border with Belgium is closed in both directions. All traffic to Belgium is currently being routed via the A2 to Maastricht and Liège. The European COVID-19 vaccination campaign is gaining speed and catching up with that of the United States. The aim is to have offered a vaccine to 70% of all adults by the end of July. However, here in the Netherlands, new strains of the coronavirus thought to have originated in India were found 8 times from April 5th through May 2nd. The strain was classified by the World Health Organization as being of global concern. In other news, Austrian Railways has confirmed that the first night train service from Amsterdam to Vienna will depart on May 25th. The train will leave Amsterdam Central Station at 7:30 p.m. with stops in Utrecht and Arnhem before continuing on to the German cities of Bonn, Frankfurt and Nuremberg. The journey to Vienna will take 14 hours and travellers will receive a welcome drink when boarding and breakfast before arriving in the Austrian capital. And Lego is launching a rainbow-themed Everyone is Awesome set to celebrate the LGBTQ+ community. The 346-piece set features 11 monochrome figures, each with their own individual hairstyle and rainbow color. The collection was created to symbolize inclusivity and to celebrate everyone, no matter how they identify or who they love. The set will go on sale on June 1st, coinciding with the start of Pride Month. Moving to local news, and Maastricht company MedProtex, which specializes in medical protective equipment, will donate more than 1 million face masks to a hospital in North India. The hospital in Aligarh no longer has clean mouth masks and is in danger of collapsing due to corona. The country has the highest number of confirmed infections in the world after the United States. And And it's now been confirmed that the 2021 TAFAF Art Fair in Maastricht will again be an online edition, given the uncertainty around the coronavirus. The digital event will run from 9th to 13th September. The hope is to have a physical edition of the event in March 2022. And as of June 8th, there will be weekly flights from Maastricht Airport Island of Rhodes. According to Corendon, the demand for last-minute holidays is very high and bookings to Greece are going fast. Naturally, passengers will need to follow COVID-19 guidelines before, during and after their flights. And finally tonight, with 2 more sleeps until the 65th Eurovision Song Contest in Rotterdam, Queen Maxima joined the semi-final rehearsals at the Ahoy earlier today. Also tonight's semi-final, keep an eye out for the postcard from Albania as it was made in Maastricht. The recording took place on April 1st, and in addition to Maastricht, images of a postcard recorded in Haarlem can also be seen. And that's it for tonight. For more local news, you can follow RTV News in English on Facebook and Instagram. If you are a local business, be sure to check out the Support Your Local Business South Limburg Facebook page, a joint initiative between #Maastricht and the Maastricht Edition. And if you want to discover events, concerts and cultural activities going on in Maastricht and the surrounding area, head on over to the website of our partner, maastrichter.com, to check out their awesome calendar of events. And don't forget that you can always find us on the Maastricht Edition on Facebook, on our YouTube channel, on Redbubble and on Instagram. For all the details, check out the Maastricht edition.nl.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much, Tracy. Nicely done.
Thank you, darling.
Yes, it's very interesting that Albania's chosen Maastricht for their postcard. That's very sweet of them, considering we were robbed.
I'm not sure they chose it. Maybe they were given. I'm not quite sure how that works. We should have asked Denis.
Well, let's go with them choosing it and send them good wishes and hope that they make it to the final on Saturday. But yes, fingers crossed. Yes. Those of you who are following the Eurovision, of course, you will be able to watch the semi-finals tonight. It's the second semi-finals, and then the actual final will be on Saturday. Ooh.
Saturday, 9 o'clock. Woo! I am tuning into the BBC and the fabulous Graham Norton. He's
the
just
best version.
It
Fantastic.
is the best version.
He's the best version. So I'm all set.
So I think it's time we got Pia from We Care on to the show. There she is. Good evening, Pia.
Hi.
Welcome to the Maastricht Edition.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us. We Care is actually a student organisation that's based here in Maastricht, but for many people out there who aren't aware of what We Care is about, could you maybe give us a bit of background as to what the actual organisation represents and why it was necessary to actually start the organisation in the first place?
Sure. I think our organization is pretty new. That's maybe the reason why it's not that well known. But it was founded by Caroline and Cecile, I think in 2018, and we're basically trying to educate about sexual harassment, sexual violence, and also offer a place for victims or survivors to come to us, to talk to us, and we basically are like the first point of help, basically. So we then forward them to psychologists or advisors. We give legal support or like help them find legal support if it's needed. We can go to the police with them. So we basically are like a first safe haven for people who experience sexual violence, and we do our best to educate about it, as I said. So we have like the two sides in our organization, and I think like especially since last year, like ending of September, October, we kind of expanded. Like I joined and quite a few other people also joined, so we're becoming a bigger organization, and we're managing to kind of broaden our reach across the university and Maastricht, and trying to offer even more services.
That's...
I think some people listening might be quite shocked that it's necessary to have such an organization, Maastricht. I mean, when I was a student, I remember there being issues with this as well. So for me, it's not surprising. But I think for a lot of people, Maastricht has its reputation of being quite a cute, cozy city, very welcoming to tourists, very nice place to live. And it is, of course, but it does have its problems. So how big an issue is sexual harassment in the city?
I think the most prominent part is definitely street harassment. I think it really came up around also September, October last year on the Facebook site Sharing is Caring. A lot of women posted about incidents where they've been harassed and were kind of looking out for other women, warning them basically like, hey, does this happen to me? And a lot of them were sharing their experiences. And around that time, actually, Cat Calls of Maastricht was founded. And we were also made aware of all the Facebook posts and also saw that as a concern. So that's kind of where also the project kind of started with the mapping of the street harassment. And there's like on the Maastricht University website under, I think it's called Street Harassment Maastricht, you can find a mapping. It's not really a way of, telling women or other people like, hey, you shouldn't go there because other people have been harassed. It's more of a point of we want to, bring awareness to the issue that in our city, in Maastricht, there's like this issue going around and it's not just one person who experiences that. So it's like a very common issue. And especially since people have been speaking up about it, I think it's, pretty common. So obviously that's not the only form of harassment and sexual violence, but that's the one we hear the most.
Well, I was going to ask you about this actually, because I think there's a bit of a blurry line between harassment and assault, and what I might consider assault, somebody else may not. So I'm assuming within this education that you're offering that maybe there's some clarity there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we really work on, especially like on our social media accounts, providing terms, especially, what gaslighting is, what sexual manipulation is, or harassment, street harassment, all those different definitions. Especially also, we have quite a few of our members are part of legal studies, so they actually have a bit more knowledge on that than me. Our dear Lieve actually made an entire law research post on our site for the legal aspects of street harassment, and she really dug into it. And sadly, it's not a crime. It's not considered that. However, she really had a nice look at it and also offered solutions on maybe possible future changes of the law. And it was really interesting to read because I also didn't really know much about the legality of it. And but yeah, definitely. That's also, I feel like, what we struggle a lot with the law in that sense, that terms as like sexual harassment, sexual violence, sexual assault, they are not clearly defined enough in certain cases. I also personally did like a little research project on like revenge porn. And that again is also like a terminology that's not really accurate to the crime. And therefore, a lot of laws lack the ability to encompass like these certain, offenses. And we try to educate about that. I think we also all are really learning about it because we all dig into the definitions and the legality of it. But I think it's really important just to be able to share the different, levels of, what sexual violence even looks like. Because a lot of people also they don't realize they've experienced sexual violence until someone spells it out for them. And I think that's also really concerning. Like a lot of experiences I like just brushed off because, it's normal.
It's a cultural thing. This is how, I can certainly from my own experience, and I'm a lot older than you are, so I come from a time when women were just treated a completely different way, and we accepted it because that was just the way that we were treated, and we didn't even recognize any kind of harassment or assault at all. It was just that was how you got through the day and didn't blink at or anything, you know. Now I look back on it and I think, oh my goodness, you know, but again, the terminology wasn't there. You weren't able to report it because what do you report? And I think also these days, because I get the impression anyway, because there is a lot more terminology, how do you report it if people don't recognise it? So the figures of actually how much is going on are going to be completely off, because we won't have any awareness of actual how the data stacks up in Maastricht alone.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's an underreporting going on, especially because it's just normalized, and again, a lot of people don't realize it. But also, like for especially men or like members of the LGBTQ+ community, for them it's even harder to report because there's like an added stigma to it. So those are like so much higher than they are even considered in statistics. But yeah, definitely, because also, in general, like the legal aspect of it is all really blurry, and maybe even if you just like have a look at how even those kind of legal processes go, a lot of offenders don't suffer any consequences. And but what our girls kind of also had to look at, that they looked at different options on how to report sexual harassment without actually filing a case. So because usually there's a lot of troubles because of lack of evidence and whatever to report something and file a case. But they hope that when you report to the, I think it was the non-emergency police line, or I think it was a certain website, it's all linked in the article I earlier mentioned, that they hope that when a lot of complaints come in, that at least the police starts patrolling certain streets, and you know, that there's at least, you know, some interference from the police, or that, you know, somehow this issue can be, you know, a bit dimmed or maybe even resolved. So that's definitely a possibility. We keep updating the map again. Just, I don't know, I feel like at this point awareness is the best we can do. I mean, we can't change law. Would love to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as an organisation, how are you getting this awareness out, and how are you actually advising and educating? Are you doing this in group sessions or what?
So the thing is, we have like different steps basically. So our normal education is just on social media. We have a lot of just information and stuff we've gathered, but we also are open. Anyone can contact to us, and like our social media, email address, anything, they can come talk to us, and you know, we're here to listen. Also then can refer people to specialists and whatever they need, basically, kind of accompanying to a hospital if it's something that has happened recent, or bring them to the police if they want to file a report, or just refer them to anonymous advisor. So those are part of the things, but we're also working on hopefully soon being able to implement group sessions, so more like support groups. And we're also hoping to actually receive proper training in certain aspects, because I mean, we're all still just students doing this, but we're going to soon get proper training, so we're able to offer a bit more support, because currently we're more like the in-between step of you know, where they can get official help at the end of it. But yeah, that's like our site structure currently, but definitely we're hoping that as bigger we grow and as more reach we can get and more support from university, or any support from the university actually, we will be able to expand our support possibilities.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think already what you're offering is very important. I notice on your social media sites you mentioned that this is a safe space, and this is really important, I think, for someone who's perhaps new to the city or perhaps even someone who's lived here for a long time. It's not exclusive, but I think it's helpful to have a place to go where a girl, boy, or whatever in between it might be, that they feel they can speak freely and without any judgment and get some help and support during a horrid experience, for example. So that's at least you guys should feel proud that you're offering at least this service. I appreciate it's not as advanced as you might like it to be, but I'm sure that will come with time. Unfortunately, it seems there is a need for it. So, but it's great to have that support there.
Yeah, I'm like, as you said, we're welcoming everyone. Like, it's all going to be confidential. We're just there to help because, yeah, it's really sad that our co-founders basically saw the need for an organization like ours to exist. But we're hoping to make the best out of it, to improve the situation as best as we can.
So are you looking for volunteers to come and help the organisation as well?
Yeah, we're actually in a bit, we're getting new board members or applications out because, yeah, for the new academic year, some people are leaving us. We need new people. We're about to prepare for application, how we want to restructure and expand our organizations. We'll definitely be looking for more.
Excellent stuff. Well, I think, I echo what Tracy is saying. You're doing a sterling job. It's obviously needed, and here at the Maastricht edition, we salute you completely. We will get all of your information out on our socials. If anybody out there feels they would like to speak to you, is it really just a simple case of just contacting you on Facebook, for example, and saying, hey, can I speak to somebody?
Of course, yeah, like Facebook, Instagram, you can send us an email. As simply as that, like just contact us and we'll be in touch with you and be there for you.
Excellent, absolutely brilliant. Well, Pia, we really do thank you very much for coming on and talking to us this evening. It's a really important issue and we really do appreciate it. Well, as I said, we'll get everything out on our socials after the show. And anybody out there who feels that they would like to be a volunteer and offer to help in the organisation, also get in touch as well. Pia, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Take care now.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, bless. Yeah, it's sad that it's needed, but thank goodness these kids are getting together and actually helping other people out there that who maybe are suffering in silence. I think it's one of those things that for a lot of people, they find it difficult to actually take that first step and say, do you know what, it happened to me and I need to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah, let's hope something happens, because I remember when the mayor came on, that was happening then as well, and we asked her about it. What should women do if they get harassed in the street? And she said something like they should hit them or something, shout at them.
Yeah, that they should kind of, talk back or shout back and stuff.
So it's been an issue for at least 2 years, if not more.
Yeah. I just wanted to pick up on something she said about the LGBTQ community, Matt. Do you that there's a bit of a stigma? Do you think that is actually the case, that more so in that community, this idea that being sexually assaulted is something it's just part and parcel?
Oh, I don't know. I think it'd probably be more difficult to report it because, I don't know, you're already in a minority and you're probably less comfortable going to talk to someone about it, probably.
Yeah.
So I can imagine it's a lot more difficult,
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, Thanks again, Pia. And we shall get all of that information out on our socials at the end of the show. Now,
Yes.
it is time, I think, for Matt to go Dutch. However, before we do that, I just think it might be a good idea if somebody asked me a question.
Oh, I see. Gosh, it's been a while.
I
Matt,
know.
Shall I ask?
Go on then.
Joe,
Yes.
what do you know? What do you know this week that you didn't know last week?
Well, it's funny you should ask me that, Tracy.
Like we have one mind.
We are so tuned in with each other. It's astonishing. For
We're
women,
in sync. We're in
for women in medieval Europe, wearing weasel testicles about the thigh area was thought to prevent pregnancy.
Oh.
And for those of you out there who don't know what a weasel is, it's a little furry animal that
Like a
is
ferret.
like a ferret or a pine marten. They all come from the same family. They're all kind of elongated and furry, but apparently a weasel's testicles, yep, that's going to stop pregnancy. in medieval Europe, anyway.
Good.
Contraception wasn't very advanced in those days.
It wasn't, no. And I would like to say that other contraceptives are available.
And probably more effective.
Yes, extremely more effective. So I wouldn't recommend it.
No, and the poor weasel. I mean, gosh.
Why a weasel and not a stoat, for example? I don't know. But there you go. Apparently, the weasel's balls have it to stop you from getting it.
Well, there you are.
Sort of sorry I asked the question now. My goodness.
Right, let's go on to Matt Goes Dutch. What have you got for us this week, Matt?
Well, this week, actually relating to patents, I thought I'd have a look at what the Dutch invented across time.
We do like a patent.
So I looked at famous Dutch inventions. Turns out there's quite a lot of them. And this week, we're going to start with the microscope. Because, you know, that's quite important for looking at little tiny things, especially when we're talking about, I don't know, germs and bacteria, which is a big topic, of course, at the moment.
Testicles.
Weasel testicles, probably, yes. They're probably quite small.
Yeah.
So talking about microscopes, it's actually quite a controversial story because there's lots of different claimants to who actually invented the microscope. And there's no actual certainty, but the Dutch claim it was a Dutch person who invented it. So in the 1600s, the Netherlands is really well known for creating lenses for telescopes and for magnifying glasses, you know, like lenses, and especially in cities like Leiden and Middelburg. So the favorite candidate as the inventor of the microscope is called Zacharias Janssen, who is supposed to have invented the microscope and the compound telescope in Middelburg between 1590 and 1618. But the problem is that it wasn't him who claimed he had invented these things. It was his son. And his son claimed this after the Zachariah was already dead. And he swore an oath and signed a document to say that his father had invented these two, the microscope and the telescope. Because in 1655, a Dutch diplomat called Willem Boreel wanted to find out who had invented the microscope, because there was competing claims. There was another man in London who was claiming that he had invented the microscope, and he was like, no, it was a Dutch person, so I'm going to prove it. So then Zachariah's son came forward and said, no, my dad invented it, and I'm willing to swear an oath, and that the other Dutch claimant, Hans Lippershey, was a thief. He'd stolen his father's work, and he was not the inventor. It was Zachariah all along. But then if you have a look at Zachariah's background history, it's a bit dubious because he was born in The Hague in 1585, but he grew up in Middelburg, which at the time in the 1590s was one of the largest cities in the Netherlands. If you go there at the moment, it's very small, very tiny city. And he was a street seller, and he was very well known with the local police. And he had lots of dodgy deals going on. So that's already a bad mark against his name. But I suppose he still could have invented the microscope, but I mean, it's a bit of a jump from a street seller to... Anyway. But then in 1615, he becomes the guardian of 2 children of Lois Lowison, who had great names in those days, who had died. And Lois Lowison was a spectacle maker. So there we go, lenses, we go in the connection.
Yeah.
So it's thought that Zacharias took over the Lowison's business and took his tools. So perhaps in that way, he had invented the microscope by learning the trade and finding out how everything worked. But then there's another story about him. In 1618, he had to move to Arnhem, which is near Middelburg, because he'd been accused of counterfeiting coins. And he lived right next to the mint in Middelburg. So there's lots of circumstantial evidence to suggest that he was, up to no good. And the penalty in those days for counterfeiting coins was to be boiled alive in oil. So when he was accused of doing this, of course, he fled the city with his family to Arnhem in 1680.
Well, yeah. I mean, you would, wouldn't you?
Everyone counterfeiting coins.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so, but then the thing is, when he was in Arnhem, he was again forced to flee the city because he was again accused of counterfeiting coins. But he went back to Middelburg because for some reason they'd forgotten about the year previous when he'd done it there. So anyway, and then in 1626, he moved to Amsterdam, where he was practicing as a spectacle maker. But in 1628, he was declared bankrupt. That's the background story of Zacharias.
Oh my
Janssen.
goodness.
I'm not sure, maybe what you think, whether he was the inventor or not. He could have been, but it didn't make him any money. And he was doing a lot of other things, which were not great. Who knows? Maybe
I tell you what, it's a hell of a plot.
Indeed. Tune in next week.
I think somebody should make a film. I mean, goodness me, there's twists and turns. It's got a bit of a soap opera kind of feel. I mean,
Lord.
Yeah.
It's nothing like Days of Our Lives, that I'll tell you.
Yeah, they don't have much boiling in oil going on Days of Our Lives. I mean, that's going to hurt in the morning.
There wouldn't be a morning.
No, I don't think there was. Well, I tell you what, Matt, I think that's one of your better ones. If I may say so, I think that was a good one. That was a good one. Nicely done. Thank you very much. Well, I think looking at the time, we haven't got much time left. So, Tracy, what titty bitties do you have for us this week?
Indeed, I have one very important titty bitty for everybody. We love Pilates on the Maastricht edition. And not only that, we love the lovely Catherine Blethen from Everybody Pilates in Maastricht, standing tall.
This exercise is great.
Oh.
Really good for your neck.
Oh, there I go.
Don't fall, Joe. God, good Lord. And so we better hurry up, Matthew. We're losing Joe. So for those of you who don't know, Everybody Pilates group classes started in the studio again yesterday. So that's fun. They have equipment for sessions with a max of 2 people, so they're still very COVID aware. And they also have a new open studio, which is more for intermediate advanced students or indeed teachers, where you can have a sort of individual workout, but you get some instructor guidance, which is quite cool. They also have the outdoor group sessions, which will be back on the schedule soon, but it a little bit depends on the weather, so that's a little bit awkward. But it's very exciting and a move in the good direction. So for more information, you can contact the lovely Catherine at Everybody Pilates, check out their socials, and give them a follow. And we'll post all the details in our pro-show post at the end of the show.
We certainly will. Well, we've come to the end of the show. If you are going to be spending the next week getting bendy with Pilates, do let us know. We'd love to see the pictures. But of course, for most of us, we're going to be tuned into the TV on Saturday because it is the final of Eurovision. So however you choose to celebrate Eurovision this weekend, have a wonderful time. A big thank you to Pia from We Care for joining us this evening. A big shout out to Denis. Don't forget you can follow him on escplus.com. And, well, he's got so many Facebook pages.
There's lots.
Count, but you can follow him as well, and he'll be broadcasting live tonight on Facebook, live from the Ahoy in Rotterdam. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Have a lovely week, however you choose to spend it. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye.